Hello. I think I am live. I hope I'm live. Bang on 12 o'clock as well. Bang on 12 o'clock. And I'm live for my weekly bit of hygge inspiration for you. And as always, don't forget to let me know if you're watching. Give me a little heart, a little thumbs up if you like what you're hearing. Don't forget to ask questions, especially if you are watching this live, or just put in the comments #live. If you are watching it on replay, then you can obviously put in #replay. And it's just a way of making sure that more people get aware that this video has actually taken place and that they might even see it. So that's just the way Facebook works. So this week is Sleep Awareness Week, and I wanted to talk a tiny bit about how we can use hygge, or especially also how I use it from a personal point of view, to get a better night's sleep. And we all want a good night's sleep. I made lots of notes today, so you're going to have me looking down at my piece of paper quite a lot. So we all want a good night's sleep. And actually, you probably heard the term, or maybe even said it yourself, when you've had a good night's sleep, you feel like a brand new person. And there are some cultures, where actually it's believed that if you had a full night's sleep and a good night's sleep, you would become a different person. And they might even give you a different name. And that is just because there is like real transformational power in a good night's sleep. And I've always had what we in Denmark call a good sleeping heart. And I'll get onto the heart in a minute as well. But I remember in my teenage years, I would sometimes, I think my record was about 16 and a half hours in one go. And my mum would let me sleep if she could, because she knew that a good night's sleep is very, very important. And obviously I've also had, I've gone through phases where I haven't slept very well, and maybe I've had, a really stressful day, and that's a different issue. I am, and I've kind of learned that in some of my posts as well. I am what's referred to as a sensitive person. So about 20% of the population is thought to have more of a heightened sense of sensitivity. So it basically means that if I've had a day with lots of input, lots of stimulants, maybe I've been out doing lots of talks, or I've done lots of workshops, interacted with a lot of people, then that's likely to disturb my sleep because my brain is so busy kind of computing it all. Um, and yeah, generally, I think I've had good night's sleep through my life until I had the birth of my son, and then I went through a phase of about 4 months of hardly any sleep, and even if I had sleep, it was bad sleep, and that affected me in a big way. I think because sleep has always been so big in my life, and it gave me poor judgment. And I was really struggling to make any decisions, and when I did make decisions, I would often make bad ones. I would It affected my confidence. I didn't feel confident because I felt all wrong, if that makes sense. And also, it affected my stress levels. I got very stressed, and I would eat a lot more, basically because, if your brain is tired and your body is tired, the only way to up that is by telling you to put some energy in. So, I was trying to eat, and if you've got a little baby hanging on your shoulders, then it's not always the healthy food that you actually have an opportunity to grab. So it affected my weight as well. So what actually happens during sleep? So when we sleep, our heart rate lowers, and it gives our body the all-important opportunity to heal itself. It repairs itself in many ways, and like I said, our brain kind of um, computes, goes over, trying to make sense of what's happened during the day. Obviously in our dreams, that's a completely different topic. I love dreams, and I love analysing dreams. I love dream journeys and so on, but that's a different life probably. But also good night's sleep is scientifically proven to help you prevent excess weight gain because of what I just said. You know, obviously, if you are tired, uh, physically tired, then you're more likely to grab the snacks. But also, sleep patterns have been linked to the hormone that actually controls your appetite. So that means that if you are not in a good sleeping phase of your life, then you are not likely to stop eating when you're getting full, and maybe also your brain tells you you're hungry when in fact you're not hungry. It can help you, a good night's sleep, to prevent heart disease and other illnesses, and there's many reasons for that, but one of the main thing is that it can lower the inflammation in our body, and that can help us fight all sorts of diseases, you know, colds and everything. I've sometimes gone to bed with a bit of a sniffle, but I've then set my intent and taken all the precautions and make sure that I got a really good night's sleep. And sometimes, you know, you can wake up, actually feel that, you know, your body's had an opportunity to fight that off. And there is also a very strong link between sleep deprivation and inflammations in the bowel system. And that's kind of a bad cycle to get into, because if your gut and your bowel hasn't got the opportunity to actually, you know, do its job properly, then you're likely to also wake up during the night. And that is actually something that I have experienced myself as well. I went through a phase with, well, it was diagnosed as irritable bowel syndrome, and I think basically sometimes that is what the medical condition puts, that's the label they put on it, because they're not quite sure what's going on. But it basically meant that I would be woken up several times during the night because I had cramps in my bowel. And then I was almost afraid of going back to sleep again, because I was afraid I'd wake up in agony once more. So that then puts you into another bad sleep cycle, and it means that you may not necessarily get the sleep that you need, and then your bowel doesn't get the opportunity to heal itself and do the job. And yeah, you see the pattern. Okay. And so obviously there's many pluses to why we need a good night's sleep. You know, it helps us concentrate, work better, make better decisions. You know, our cognitive thinking, everything benefits from a good night's sleep, as well as all the physiological things as well I've mentioned. So how do we actually, how long do we actually, let me start by how long we actually need to sleep. So the guidance is normally 7 to 9 hours. I normally say sleep as long as you feel you need. And that's quite important as well, because sometimes you might have a really stressful time, and you actually, your body is, because you're putting a lot of stress on your body, so you need more rest. And other times it might be different. And athletes, for example, and you know, I'm also a professional dancer, so you know, on days where I might work my body a whole lot more, then I also need a lot more sleep in order to generate. So they say athletes might need, you know, 10 hours or more as well. So how can we actually prepare for a good night's sleep? And you will hear me say it a lot, and it's a lot of what I post in here of inspiration as well, but nature is such an important component in that. If we can bring ourselves outside and not least into the daylight, being active, whether that's just going for a walk or, you know, doing something more strenuous, you know, then that can really help us sleep better during the night as well. And at the moment, because the schools have gone back here in the UK, I'm just establishing a new routine, which is working out really well with my 5-year-old son, that we go outside into nature when he comes home from school. So we'll come home, we'll have something to eat, you know, we'll talk about the day, and then after that half hour of coming down, it's outside. And it really helps just kind of calm the nervous system, immersing yourself in nature and doing something physical with the body, whether that's going for a walk or you know, maybe we'll go for a cycle, or maybe we'll have a bit of kick or football or something like that. So, and in the summer as well, I think it's really nice to have the opportunity, especially if after dinner, to maybe go out for a nice long walk, because that brings me on to the other thing. You don't want to obviously go to bed on a full stomach. So make sure you don't have a heavy meal, maybe especially if you haven't got long to allow it to burn off. And another big thing, and I'm sure you've heard this before as well, alcohol before bedtime is so not a good thing. It'll make you fall asleep quicker, but the quality of your sleep is not likely to be very good, so you're likely to wake up quite a few times. And I must admit, after becoming a mum and my hormones have changed, that is so me. So I always, if on the rare occasions when I do have like a small glass of red wine with my meal, then I'll always make sure I have lots of water and allow a couple of hours for it to kind of burn off before I actually go to bed, because you don't want to fall asleep because of the alcohol. It's not likely to send you into a very solid and good sleep pattern. And also, another one you've probably heard of, but it's very big in my household, is not too much screen time before bedtime. And it's scientifically proven that the blue light that our screens emit basically messes with our sleep hormone, the melatonin. It takes away the drowsiness because of that blue light that tells our brain that it's not time to sleep yet. And even more scary probably, there is scientific proof in research from the University of Toledo that shows that watching a screen in the dark, I'll have to look at this now, means that the blue light can trigger the creation of poisonous molecules in our photoreceptor cells of the retina, and that can basically speed up sight deterioration as well. So not only may you not actually have a good night's sleep, but it will also mess with your sight. So in our household, we always make sure that there's not too much TV before bedtime. And when we actually say bedtime, they're just 3 hours before bedtime, to avoid any screen time. And finally, we have, and that's brings me on to the main thing, is the bedtime hygge. Okay, we have a set routine that we kind of go through in order to prepare our bodies and our brains to kind of go to bed. And it's not always that easy. You probably heard about the fact that you should always have a set routine before you go to bed. And because the work that I do means that maybe some evenings I will be teaching live workshops quite late, or and other evenings, you know, I haven't got that on, and then I'll be going to bed early. So my schedule is very much up and down, but I have different routines for both those scenarios. And so very simplified, I call this mummy's turn down service, is I open the windows and let lots of fresh air in. And yes, I also do that in the winter, and my husband gets very annoyed because like, oh, it gets so cold. But having some fresh air in the bedroom really helps, not only definitely helps support a good night's sleep. And then once the window's been open for like a minimum of 10 minutes, I'll, close the window. I fluff all the duvets and all the pillows so that it's nice and cozy. And then, especially in the winter months, I put the equivalent of a hot water bottle underneath the sheets as well. It's a simple little thing. But having lived in Scandinavia for so long, it's kind of an essential thing, especially if you open the window during the winter. You need sometimes to have more than one hot water bottle in the bed, but you need that kind of to look forward to, to get you in there quickly. And then I would turn some dim light on, and then normally, I'll read a goodnight story for my son, and then we have a very important little ritual, which is a ritual of gratitude. Now, I would say that if you've had a very stressful day, it's also very important to get in there, in that little turn down service for the night, to have something that helps you get over that stress. And there is many tools that you can use to kind of get over that, or deal with that, I should say. Get it out of your system and calm your nervous system before bedtime. And It's actually something that I'm covering in a course I'm going to be doing very shortly. But it's just having little practical things, and it can be as simple as just sitting down to have a very quick meditation or something. But then make sure you don't do it in bed because you're likely to fall asleep. But if you've had a very stressful day, it's very important to kind of calm yourself down so you don't take those thoughts with you to bed. Because even then, if your whole surroundings in a very hygge and comfortable way, if you haven't actually switched off those thoughts in your head, then it's going to be very difficult for you to kind of, switch off and have a good night's sleep, because those thoughts are likely to still be in your head. And finally, yes, our little gratitude thing. It's very simple, and there's many ways of doing gratitude. But this is my little simple way of teaching my 5-year-old at the moment, is asking him to kind of mention 3 things that were good during the day. And we often have a little discussion about this, or we just share. Sometimes it's literally just sharing it, and it just brings the whole day into perspective. Okay, sometimes there will have been sad things as well, and then we can talk about that. And like yesterday, when he asked a girl that he really likes to be his friend, she didn't, so he will say today was not a good day because of that. And then, turning that on its head and saying, yeah, but then there must have been good things, what were the good things, and then lingering on the good things before you fall asleep is really, really important. So yeah, so that's kind of a simple way, a very simplistic way of describing a little hygge ritual that can be incorporated for bedtime. I should also mention actually lights in the bedroom, because obviously for my little boy, we've looked at so many different types of lights, and we've actually got like an artificial candle, just battery operated. So it's almost like having a candle. It's not a flickery one; it's a constant one, and it's a warm light, and it gives that little bit of light, and it gives him great comfort as well. So that's like ultimate hygge. I would never go to sleep with burning candles. Can I just make that clear? So please don't do that. So when I say dimmed and cozy lighting, make sure that it's safe lighting. Even in Scandinavia, there are a lot more fires around, in the darker months, because especially youngsters, and maybe also, well, maybe not so much kids, but definitely youngsters and young adults find that it's cozy to have candles, but be mindful, okay? It is dangerous with live candles, so I definitely use the artificial ones in the bedroom around bedtime. So I see people watching. Don't forget to put a comment in. Don't forget to put, #live. Put anything in if you've got any questions. As I'm just about to wrap up this session on how hygge can help you get a better night's sleep. So just to sum up, there's so many reasons why we need to get that good night's sleep. And if you, like I told my personal experience, if you've had a period in your life where you just haven't been able to get that good quality sleep, then you know how much just messes with you. It messes with a whole day. You will wake up and you'll feel like the wrong person. What's the saying? You got out on the wrong side of the bed. Yeah, in Denmark we say you got out on the wrong foot, because it means you're not actually aligned. And there's many ways. There's all the things that you probably hear about that you can do, including no heavy foods, no alcohol, no blue light from screens. And there is that thing of setting up a ritual that ideally centers around creating that oasis of hygge. That can be kind of with the aesthetics, if you like, of the soft lighting, but definitely also with the fresh air. And for good measure, I would also put in some kind of mindset work in there. So like that little gratitude exercise that I mentioned is very important. And again, if you've had a very stressful day, then thinking of another way, maybe other tools that you can use to kind of get that out of your head, and maybe somewhere else, maybe on a piece of paper or something else to release it, so that you don't need to take that with you to bed, so to speak. And I should say that also goes for arguments. So if you've had any arguments, make sure you release that. I always say, to my husband, it's all of that needs to be dealt with before bedtime, even before the turn down service, that I then do, because you don't want that to play on your mind. You want to be able to go to bed happy, hopefully content, and knowing that tomorrow is going to be a fabulous day, and you might have things that you want to do that you might want to think about. I try not to think too much about specifics, because then that thing, the little hamster wheel, as I sometimes call it, keeps churning. But more thinking about the the, the, the things that bring you joy, and not so much the specifics. So that was all about hygge and how you can have a better night's sleep. I can't actually see the comments, so I assume there aren't any. That's great. Don't forget, you can always ask. I'm happy to pitch in, and also if you're watching this on replay, if you've got any questions, then pop them in the comments and I shall do my best to answer them. So if you like this kind of thing, and maybe thinking of how hygge and the hygge mindset especially can help you improve the quality of your life, then I am very shortly going to be running just like a mini course for a few people, all about healthy hygge. And it's going to be a 3-week live course looking at the simple yet effective ways that we can create not only happiness but also health, and kind of link them all together. And it's very much about practical tools. It's things that I've found very, very helpful in my life to overcome really, really stressful periods, and also to just create a better framework for my family, and not least for my son as well. If you're interested, you can either send me a private comment or you can comment in here. That's fine. And yeah, then I just hope you have a lovely week of good sleep ahead, creating your own little hygge moments around that to support you. And yeah, good night's sleep will enable you to step out into life and make the most of it. And that's what it's all about: living from living from a place of joy, creating even more happiness where you go. So make the most of those hygge moments, and I will see you again next week. Bye.